welcome to our first edition of Man in the Pub Chats. This is basically because I can't be there when you make financial decisions, just the same way the Green Cross Code Man can't be there when you cross the road. So we thought we'd start making these little blogs. It's meant to be Man in the Pub, but we didn't quite work it out in time, so we've got tea instead. But we've got Tom here, who's an investor with Higgs Boson, who's going to ask me some questions topically about Brexit. Tom.
So as an investor, should I be concerned about a Brexit vote?
The first thing is actually what is Brexit, and then what you should be concerned about, and then what should you be doing about Brexit. So the first thing is what is Brexit? And it's basically, we are currently members of the European Union, which is a group of countries that have got together to promote welfare and economic growth between themselves. But there are concerns, certainly in the UK, over our ability to make decisions for ourselves, sovereignty, over immigration of people from other countries to come into the UK for economic benefit for themselves, who might also use our welfare system, and also the growing devolution of power to the EU. And the vote is about whether we should stay in or leave.
Obviously, if there is a no vote, or does it necessarily mean that we will leave the EU?
No, not necessarily, because under the Treaty of Rome, there has to be a 2-year negotiation to decide on what terms we leave. But UK cannot attend that, and it might actually take more than 2 years. There's also the fact that this vote is not binding. So even though we might get a leave vote, David Cameron could say, well, we're not going to.
So as a Higgs Boson investor, if we leave the EU, will I suddenly become poor?
No, you won't. Lots of things aren't going to happen on June the 24th. So as we've said before, we're not going to go down and have a Brexit thing where we go and brick up the Channel Tunnel. We're not going to have a flyby of Spitfires or anything like that. That's not going to, because it's not a football match. It's a vote on the economic future, basically. What will actually happen is there'll be a sort of fairly lengthy, boring, bureaucratic negotiation on what happens. Now, to keep trading with Europe, we're going to have to comply with most of their regulations. And that means that you still won't be able to make many decisions back in the UK anyway. You're still going to have to comply with most EU regulations to trade with them. So have you really got any further with that? Probably not. Then in terms of immigration, it's probably overstated, but the immigration has probably added about 0.5% at most to the UK workforce. And it tends to be the bottom end of the pay scale with jobs that, frankly, most people don't want to do, like in agriculture, walking behind a combine harvester picking up potatoes. What that's actually done is help keep wages down. That keeps inflation down, so it's kept prices low for you. So it's probably actually been quite a good thing for the UK economy. Also, the consumption of welfare and healthcare by those very same people isn't very significant because there aren't that many of them. So I don't think immigration is actually as big an issue as people are talking about. Sovereignty isn't as big an issue because you can't really take that much control back if you want to keep trading with Europe, which we probably will. Trade will continue in some extent because we've got too much to lose if we don't do it. And what that all says to you is probably all of these things are probably not that big a deal, but they're being made a big deal by the various lobbies who want us to leave or stay.
Donald Trump gets elected, will that affect my investments?
Yeah, decidedly, because actually a global thermonuclear war probably will put a fairly big dent in the economy. Yeah, probably, yeah. Fortunately, no, don't worry about it too much. He can be a loudmouth idiot with no real sense behind his policies, but fortunately the Senate blocks anything he actually wants to do. It's like Barack Obama wanted to do lots of things, couldn't. The Senate got in the way of that. Donald Trump, who's basically a reactionary bigot, no, most of what he wants to do would be blocked, so no, I wouldn't panic about that too much.
Thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.